Jesus commended progressive growth and expansion in the work of ministry for the church of Thyatira. However, Jesus rebuked corruption in their leadership. We see that the spirit of Jezebel was masquerading as a leader, as a spiritual leader, and as a prophetess in the church in Thyatira. We also see that she was teaching and seducing the leaders, the spiritual leaders, maybe the elders, the deacons, the pastors, and the bishops in this church to commit sexual immorality and eat foods that were sacrificed to idols. Eat food, from the devil's table, as Apostle Paul told the Corinthian church. Do you remember that Apostle Paul rebuked the Corinthian church for committing the same sin? Yes, he did. Paul rebuked the Corinthian church for sexual immorality and for eating foods that were sacrificed to idols. And we see the church of Thyatira committing the same sin. And from the writing of Jesus, we see that it is the spirit of Jezebel that is responsible for this kind of seduction. Another thing we see from the letter of Jesus to the church in Thyatira is that Jezebel does not just attack the prophets of God, just like she attacked Elijah and John. In the book of Revelation, we see that she had advanced in her work and ministry. Beyond attacking the prophets of God, she had begun to masquerade as one. Pay attention to what Jesus said. He said, "Nevertheless, I have a few things against you, because you allowed that woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess, to teach and seduce my servants." Now, if Jezebel called herself a prophetess, if she masqueraded as a prophetess in the church of Thyatira, and her vessels, her human vessels, that means the church leaders or the members of the congregation who were possessed by the spirit of Jezebel, were received as prophets and prophetesses in the congregation of the church in Thyatira. It will mean that those possessed by the spirit of Jezebel in the church of Thyatira and beyond had the ability to call names, call phone numbers, foretell, prophesy, and carry out other prophetic acts or manifestations that are unique to the prophetic office. It will mean that the men and women in the church in Thyatira who were possessed by the spirit of Jezebel, who were leading the church leaders and the congregation of Jesus in the church in Thyatira astray, had the ability to see into the realms and walk in the demonic dimensions and manifestations of what we'll call word of wisdom, word of knowledge, and discerning of spirits, those spiritual gifts that come along with the prophetic office. How you would discern that her prophets and her prophetesses were not prophets of God were through their teachings and seductions and doctrines, not necessarily through their prophetic acts and manifestations. They were given to teachings and seductions of sexual immorality and idolatry.